Thank you so much. Okay, Mike.
Mr. Edwards.
Here.
Mrs. Grant.
Here.
Mr. Palomo.
Here.
Dr. Smith.
Here.
Mrs. Smith.
Here. Very good. Are there any other additions to the agenda as that was presented to us? Hearing no additions, could I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented, please?
I motion.
Okay.
Second.
Moved. Second by Kent. We'll have the roll, please.
Mrs. Grant.
Yes.
Mr. Edwards.
Yes.
Mr. Palomo.
Yes.
Dr. Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes. We had presented to us through an email the minutes that Mike had submitted from our last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to that, those minutes? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I
So
motion.
moved.
Okay. We'll have Kent move and Dora second. And we'll have the roll, please.
Mr. Edwards.
Yes.
Mrs. Grant.
Yes.
Mr. Palomo.
Yes.
Dr. Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes. And I'm happy now to turn the meeting over to Ed and Steve.
Real quick before, can you hear me?
Yes.
Before Steve takes over, just to let you know, we got some information on the budget for the community school. It has to be submitted for compliance by October 31st, which I don't think we'll have any problem with that. The other thing is we met in our compliance meeting, and I appreciate Jeff and Ryan and Mike. And then on our side, we had Steve, myself, and Diane. We had good conversation, and I feel like as your sponsor that we're on the same page with you. The other thing in my responsibilities where I was with Finley Digital Academy, we have a lot of things up in the air this year with testing and where testing is going to end up, and also with the evaluation of staff. As I get information, I will forward that on to your administration and on to, actually, I'll send it to your board members, you board members too, from me. That's part of our compliance of sponsoring you, is our communication with you as things come across my desk. So I'll try to do the best possible job I can to get things out to you monthly, anything that comes up. And then beyond that, I'll turn things over to Steve.
That will be great, Ed. And Ed, we certainly appreciate the support that we've received from Margaret as our sponsor. So thank you very much for that. Steve?
All right, just real briefly, kind of further in the conversation that Ed had talked about our monthly meeting. We met last Thursday, September 10th, and we had some old items to discuss. We also discussed Epicenter new tasks, which the only thing in Epicenter right now is our October 31st deadline for the annual budget for the community school in Townsend. We also need to make sure Jeff gets the signed conflict of interest forms. That's going to be very, very important. And you should have all received the policies and procedures that was emailed to you last week. That meets our deadline in September for that as well. Discussion in our meeting revolved around how the transition from XD to Dazzle is going. We got great information there from Jeff, Mike, and Ryan. We talked about enrollment. We also talked about Margretta's board meeting next Monday and having a representative there, which is going to be Jeff Thompson at the Margretta Elementary School gym. And then obviously we talked about any changes or updates with the agreement, potential agreement with ODE. So that was our meeting. We meet next month on October 8th, which is a Thursday at 8:30 a.m. back in the TCS boardroom.
Very good. Are there any questions for Steve? Jeff, who do you need yet in terms of the conflict of interest forms?
I was just writing that down. I don't have my file right here in front of me, so if I call out your name and you've turned it in, please correct me. But I think I'm only missing 3, and that's Israel, Kent, and Dora.
Okay. So if it's possible to go ahead and fill those out and either scan them and email them to Jeff or drop them off to the school or mail them. When's the deadline for that?
End of September.
Okay. So we've got time to trust the mail if need be.
Yes.
And if board members would like, in fact, I'll just go ahead and do it again. I'll resend the email tomorrow morning that I sent that has that conflict of interest form, just in case you don't want to hunt back through your email and find it out. You'll have that tomorrow morning.
And if you need me to come pick them up from anybody, I can do that.
Yeah, I can as well. So, all right, very good. Anything else, Steve? Then?
That's it. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you very much. All right, under the president's report, I just wanted to report that I've had conversations with Ed and Diane Keegan. We've been excited about the possibility of coming to some term settlement with the Ohio Department of Education. We hope to have something on that very soon. I also wanted to ask the board members if they're still willing to continue in those liaison posts that we talked about. Bob was going to do finance, Kent was going to do sponsor, Israel had talked about handling personnel, and Dora was professional development. So if you have any issues with those categories, be sure to let me know, email me. Otherwise, I've encouraged Jeff to include you as those topics come up. So Ken, I don't know if it's possible for you to attend that October 8th meeting, but at least it's important for you to know about it. So Jeff will kind of keep you apprised of that, unless I hear otherwise from you that you don't want that responsibility. We'll move now to the treasurer's report. Mike?
All right, let me attempt to present now.
Yeah, there you go, Mike.
All right, so this is what was emailed to you guys. Let me see if can you guys see that?
Yes.
All right, this is what was emailed to you guys over the weekend. If you're looking at this correctly, it's the August 31st reconciliation. You can see we're at 1.8 million. Is it large enough that you can read it?
Yes.
Okay. 1.8 million for the month of August reconciliation. I have the check register and the outstanding checks as we move on. If anybody has any questions additional, let me know now, or if you want to review it, let me know. You can send me an email, you can call, text, whatever is easiest. I'm going to skip forward to the spreadsheet. So here's what I wanted to really mainly focus on tonight. Action item D of the treasurer's report is the appropriation.
Will you enlarge that just a little bit?
Yeah, let me see what I can do.
I have every faith that you can, and you did. Good job.
Okay. So this is basically action item D, the treasurer's report as well. So one thing I wanted to point out, the spending plan for the general fund, we're looking at $4,729,337. That's as of now. I think normally when we look back at past years, we've been pretty accurate on spending. It's easier to predict expenses than revenue here, obviously. So this is what I'm asking you to approve. And then action item D2 is total of all funds. I have 5 million. That's not on the spreadsheet. This spreadsheet is just for the general fund, just so you guys know. Total of all funds, which would include all of our federal grants and everything, I have $5,374,522. Now that'll include like IDEA funds, everything that's a federal grant is kind of included in that. Now I want you to know that we have actually been allocated more money than that. But once ODE sees how many students we actually have, it'll adjust. and I kind of adjusted it based on where we were compared to we are as a percentage. So I imagine that we'll be around the 5.3 million on total funds spent. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. But general fund money, we're looking at about 4.7 million. When I look at revenue up here, this is based on where me, Jeff, and Ryan had talked, and as we know right now, and we believe this is a conservative number. We base this on 615 students. If you take that by the 83% that we tend to be funded on, it's 510.45 FTEs. So this number in particular, the almost 2 million, is based on that number of students. That can adjust as we move forward, up or down. Hopefully up. It sounds like it's going to be up. That's a good sign. So that's kind of where we're at with action item D of my report. When we go into the actual month of August, the one thing I did want to report out is right here. Every August and every January, we get casino funding from the state of Ohio. They get $15,329. That's what this number is. Another thing is when we look at the expenses for the month down here, this number here for salaries and benefits, this is August. So I want you to remember that August we were still paying out teacher contracts from last year. Those ended. So we will see this number for salaries and benefits decrease as we move forward. When we come down here to capital outlay, we did have a little bit more of expensive of a month. We had I think CSC invoice for almost 10 grand. So that's what mainly that is. Another thing I wanted to
Mike, what was that for?
Think CSC. That is, Dave could probably tell you a little bit more about it, but they handle some technology things for us.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes. Gotcha. It's normally a one-time. We buy a certain amount of hours. So you won't see this monthly, but it was an August expense that we had. One thing I do want to point out is that we did not have a Margaret invoice for the month of August. We do have one for the month of September, so you'll see a little bit of an adjustment. I know sometimes, depending on when bills fall, you'll see, when we look down here, the total of August, we were positive 231,000. Just realize that there was no Margaret invoice taken out of that. Not that it's not a good thing for this month. We had a great month, but looking forward, next month may not be as well. Total FTEs as of right now, we believe that the data was pulled today or sometime this week. So we're looking at 1,015. That will be adjusted for next month. I think I said in my email, just so you guys are aware, that by the time October rolls around, it's my estimate that we could possibly, depending on enrollment, have received almost 45% of our funding for the year. Just know that going forward, we will see a lot more August total. Like when you see the August total down here, I think we'll see a lot more negative numbers here. However, we started the fiscal year at about 1.1 million and we're at 1.8 million. So just understand that that number will go down, but it's basically because of, we've been paid for the future, essentially, I think is the best way to put it. Mm-hmm. Any questions on this so far? I know I gave you a lot of information. Okay. The last page I sent you was the September payment. That's essentially just wanted to show you where we're at. Again, this is based on enrollment at 1,015. So this is just showing you where we're at. I do think that at the end of September, we'll be somewhere around the $2 million mark. Just so you know, moving forward in October, we're going to really see a true up here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the end of this week starts hitting the 72-hour rule. So I think we'll know where our enrollment kind of is at the end of this week, even better. Like I said, from what I'm told, I think it's even better than what we were anticipating. So that's a good thing. That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions.
Hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll move. So moved.
Okay, Israel moved. Ken second. Any discussion? Let's have the roll, please.
Mr. Palomo?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yeah.
Mrs. Grant?
Yes.
Dr. Smith,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes. Very good. Thank you, Mike. We'll move on now, Jeff, to you with the superintendent's report and your recommendations. Jeff, you're muted.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We have 3 items that we want to cover under the superintendent's recommendations. Item number A is a recommendation to approve the awarding of high school diplomas to the following students as listed. These are a lot of these students were working during the summer, and with the transition from XD to Dazzle and other things we were transitioning to, we said we would wait until most likely September before we catch up. So we're kind of playing catch up here. So we'd ask the board to approve these students. Item B, recommendation to approve a CBI supplemental stipend of $6,000 to Ken Miller for the 2021 school year. Stipend to be paid in equal installments of $250, and it's retroactive start of the current school year. This is no increase whatsoever. It's what Ken has been paid the last 2 years, in fact. And then item C, to approve Tara Kaiser's resignation from her current contract, and then approve her for an administrative contract at 230 days at the stipulated dollar amount for the 2021 school year. And I sent you a separate email explaining that in greater detail. So unless somebody has questions over any one of those 3 items, I would recommend those for your action.
Are there any questions from the board? Hearing none, we'll have a motion. I'll entertain a motion to approve action items A through C.
I'll move.
Moved by Dora. Is there a second?
I'll second it. Bob.
Seconded by Bob. Any discussion? We'll have the roll, please, Mike.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Dr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Palomo,
Yes.
Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes. At this point in time, I would like to ask for a motion for executive session to consider the appointment of a public official, as well as to confer with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. Is there a motion?
I'll make that for you, Gene. Bob.
Okay, Bob?
Second.
Okay, second by Ken. Any discussion? We'll have the roll, Mike.
Dr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Edwards,
Yes.
Mrs. Grant,
Yes.
Mr. Palomo,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes. At 7:25, we're moving into executive session.